And God said, Behold, I have given you every herb-bearing seed. To you it shall be for food. Genesis 1:29. Man did eat angels' food. He sent them meat to the full. Psalm 78:25. Everyday Manna with Lisa.
Hi everybody, and welcome to Everyday Manna. Today we are going to be making one of my most favorite newly discovered and invented recipes, egg rolls in a bowl. And to go alongside that, we're going to make a cucumber salad and some peanut butter brownies. And we're going to actually get started on the brownies because they take the longest. The main dish comes together in a matter of minutes. It's very, very quick and easy to do. In this bowl, let me move that one. In this bowl, I've got some all-purpose flour. I'm adding some salt, some baking powder, and some baking soda. And I'm just going to kind of mix that together and set that aside for just a minute. I'm using a stand mixer. If you don't have a stand mixer, you can do this with a little hand mixer if you want to, but this is easier. I have 3 eggs, and I'm going to beat these eggs until they're very light and fluffy. And then we'll add our sugars to it. The oven needs to be preheated to 350 degrees. Start on low. And then work it up. You want to beat them. It'll take about a minute, maybe 2, until they're very light and fluffy. And once you kind of get them broken up, I like to go ahead and crank it up to full speed there. They'll change color. They'll become like a light pale yellow. Okay, that's 3 eggs, and I'm using large. You just are really kind of breaking up that egg and incorporating some air. That's what you want to do. It changes color, it becomes lighter. I'm going to add in, turn it down a little bit. I'm going to add in some brown sugar. I'm using light brown sugar, but if you only have dark brown, you can use dark brown, it's fine. All right, turn that back up and get that fully incorporated, along with some vanilla extract. All righty. And I'm gonna pour in slowly some butter that I've melted partially. It's okay if it's fully melted. It's actually better if it's fully melted, but it's okay. It's very, very soft. Okay. Alrighty, once that looks like it's starting to incorporate real well, turn your mixer off, scrape down the sides, and add 1/2 cup of peanut butter. Now, I'm using smooth peanut butter because that's what we eat, but if you have crunchy, add crunchy. You could add Nutella, you could put almond butter, you could use really anything that you wanted to in this dish. Okay? We're going to incorporate that. Alrighty. And then we're slowly going to add the flour mixture, slowly. Okay, we'll turn it down just a little bit. I'm doing it 1/4 cup at a time, but you could do it in thirds if you wanted to. Alrighty. If you only have self-rising flour, you can eliminate the baking soda and the baking powder, and that's fine. All right, scrape down your sides because some of the flour gets, you know, kind of pushed up to the side, and you want to incorporate all that flour. All righty. This is what it means if you ever read a recipe and it says scrape down the sides. That's what that means. All right, now let's turn that back on for just a second, and that's it. You've got a creamy brownie. Now, I like my brownies to be a little thicker as opposed to thinner, so I use these square baking pans, and I'm using a glass one because that's what I have. But if you have the metal ones, it's fine. You can use that too. I have sprayed it with non-stick baking spray. All right. Now, get your paddle off of there and scrape off as much of that as you can. Okay. I love peanut butter. And anytime you're using a stand mixer especially, you will want to do a final little stir with your spoon because sometimes the bottom flour doesn't get mixed in as well. Okay? And just pour that into your prepared pan. Getting it all. If you have nuts, you can add some nuts if you want to. You could add some chocolate chips. You could add some any kind of the peanut butter chips if you wanted to. You could add the butterscotch chips. You can add anything you want to add to this at this point. Okay, let's get our mixture all off of my spatula. And we're going to put this in a 350-degree oven for about 25 minutes or so. I'm just going to get cleaned up, get ready for the next part. The next thing we're going to make is egg rolls in a bowl. I'll be back in just a minute. Now our brownies are in the oven and we are going to start on what has become one of my favorite things to eat. Now, currently I am, and Mike, my husband Mike and I are eating a low-carb diet, and one of my favorite foods are egg rolls. I love egg rolls, but the outer wrapper of the egg roll is not low-carb. And I thought, well, how can I get the taste of the egg roll? And so we've got egg roll in a bowl. It couldn't be simpler. Now I have a large skillet here over a very hot eye, and I'm gonna add some ground pork. Whoops! I'm also gonna break my oil bowl. Now you could do this with ground chicken, ground beef, ground turkey, anything you wanted. You could do it with shrimp. I'm just going to brown the pork. Add as much or as little as you like. The other night, it was probably about 9:30 at night, and I had had this the day before, and I wanted it. And so I made it at 9:30 at night one night just because I wanted to eat. I just love it. I absolutely love this dish. It's a very low-carb dish. So if you're trying to watch that, maybe you're diabetic and you're watching your carb intake, or you're just eating the very popular ketogenic diet, or you just really want to monitor, you know, the carbohydrate intake in your life, this is a great recipe for you. All right. We just want to kind of knock the raw off of this. Doesn't take it very long at all to cook. Just are browning it in a little bit of oil. Make sure that you do scrape those browned bits up off the bottom. That's, you know, that's the fond, as they call it. That's delicious flavor. That's the meat or the product that you're cooking. It's called a Maillard reaction, and it really does add to flavor. It doesn't matter if it's meat or vegetables or whatever, you'll get those little bits sticking, and that's really good. Okay, let's let that go for just a second. Now, you can customize this again. Like I said, if you want to use ground chicken or turkey or even ground beef or even like little diced up shrimp, any of that would be fine. This is a very lean ground pork, so I'm not going to need to drain it. But if you are using ground beef, you would absolutely want to drain any excess fat off of that. All right. See how quick that cooked? That's pretty well done, that part. Okay. Now, we're going to add some flavor to it. I'm going to add some ground pepper. Now, I'm not going to add salt right now because the soy sauce, even though I use a low sodium soy sauce, it does have quite a bit of sodium in it. And I keep ground up ginger as a pantry staple, and I really like the flavor of ginger. So I'm going to add a couple of tablespoons of ground ginger because I really like the flavor. And these are great to keep in your kitchen, in your refrigerator. You find them in the produce section of your grocery store. And I'm also going to add some ground ginger, or excuse me, not ground ginger, but chopped up ginger. This is a brand new bottle. I want about a tablespoon or so, maybe a little bit more, which would be equal to a couple of cloves of garlic. Oh, instantly, once that hits the stove, you can smell it. Stir that in just a little bit because you want what little bit of oil is in there to react with the spices, and that blooms them and makes them much more potent. Now, I'm going to add a bag of just coleslaw mixture. You can shred up your own cabbage if you want to. This particular one has carrot and red cabbage and regular traditional green cabbage, but you could use whatever kind you have. Now, this is the one ingredient that does have a little bit of carbohydrates, but not that much. I'm going to add just probably the equivalent of half a carrot shredded and 1 can of bean sprouts. This whole can of bean sprouts, 1 serving, which is 2/3 of a cup, which is all you're going to eat, only has 2 grams of carbs in there. I love bean sprouts. I need a pair of tongs. Let's get some tongs back here for the moment. Now this is going to, it looks like a lot, but it's going to shrink down. That cabbage is going to release its water and it's going to shrink down a little bit. You just want to kind of stir this together. Be careful. My pot's actually probably a little small. I could have used a bigger skillet. That's all right. And if you don't eat it all in one meal, it keeps in the refrigerator great, reheats later. It's really delicious. Okay. Now I am going to add some more flavors. I'm going to add some soy sauce. I don't know, probably about 1/3 of a cup or so of soy. I'm just actually going to finish my bottle, which is about 1/3 of a cup. And then some toasted sesame oil. Now, you want to make sure when you buy sesame oil at the store, it's not the white sesame oil or the clear, rather not white, but clear. You want the dark toasted sesame oil. This stuff is magic on its flavor. It's so intense. You don't need a whole lot of it, but it is absolutely wonderful in a lot of dishes. I love it over rice if you're eating rice, whether it be traditional rice or cauliflower rice. I've added about probably 1.5 teaspoons or so of the toasted sesame. I'm just going to let this cook for just about, I don't know, 4 to 5 minutes, and it's done. And that's all you need. Now, if you are not eating a low-carb diet, you could serve this over some rice if you wanted to. I like it just on its own. It is really good. You, of course, want to taste for seasoning. You want those vegetables to retain some of their crispness. And I'm cooking it on like medium-high heat. Let's taste it See if I got a fork in here. And just taste and adjust for any seasoning that you might need. Doesn't need a thing. Absolutely perfect. Alrighty, I'm just gonna turn this off because this is done. I'm gonna clean up my mess, check the brownies, and when I come back, we're gonna wrap it all up and we're gonna make a wonderful cucumber salad that goes along great with your egg roll in a bowl. I'll be back in just a minute. All right, now our egg roll in a bowl is done. Our brownies are almost done. Let's make a quick, easy cucumber salad to go alongside. Now I have 1 English cucumber here. Well, let me start back up here just a little bit. In this bowl, I have some rice vinegar. I'm gonna add a little bit of Splenda because that's what I personally use. But if you wanna just do sugar, you can. It's up to you. I want to dissolve that because I want it to be a little tiny bit sweeter. A little bit of salt, a little bit of pepper. Just want to stir that till it's dissolved. And then I like to add just a little bit of the sesame oil. That's optional, but I personally like it. All right, now I have 1 English cucumber here. Now I just want, this is not necessary, but it makes it look pretty. I've cleaned it. If you want to take a fork and make it look pretty, start at one end and drag the fork down the sides. I'll show you in just a second what this does. It just makes it look pretty when you peel it or slice it. I'm not going to peel my cucumber because I actually like the skin of a cucumber, provided it's not a waxed cucumber. I always peel the waxed ones. Okay, you just want to drag a fork down the sides of it, and then when you slice it, you see how you get these pretty little indentations, if you will. It just makes it look pretty. Not necessary, but I just like the way it looks. And I'm just going to slice this cucumber thin. All right. You can, by all means, if you've got a fresh garden cucumber, use that. Really good. I think half of this one's going to be enough because this was a big cucumber. All right, I'm just going to add that to the bowl. Stir that around. This is even better the next day. So if you want to make this a day ahead, go ahead. Please do. Now I have here a yellow pepper because that's what I have, but if you have a red pepper or even a green pepper, it just adds a flavor to it that's really good. What I like to do is just slice it thin. Makes it look pretty too when you have a different color. I love the yellow peppers, the orange peppers, the red peppers. I just think they taste so good. And these are kind of big pieces, so what I want to do is just cut that in half and add that to it. If you want to add some radishes, that's good in there. Really anything that you want to add to this salad is fine. And that's it. That's how easy that little salad is. If you feel like you need a little more vinegar, add a little more vinegar. If you want to add some garlic, add some garlic. You can do anything you want. You know, I think I will. Let's just finish up. I'm just going to make a double recipe here because this will keep in the refrigerator and I really like it. And I'll snack on it for a couple of days. Keeps real well in the refrigerator. Cut out your little membranes there. Okay. It's real pretty too if you add in some other colors of peppers. Peppers come in all kinds of colors. Just slice them kind of thin. You might need to, I will need to add some more vinegar, but that's okay. I'll do that. We'll just use this up because it really does keep well. And it provides a good contrast. When you're cooking and planning your meals, you need to think about textures. This is very soft. It's not crunchy. This will be crunchy, and it adds a different level of texture to the meal. You think about those things when you're cooking. Okay, and I'm just going to use the rest of my cucumber. Just using a little paring knife for these. I keep several of these in my kitchen because I use them so much. I'll tell you my favorite brand, and no, it's not sponsored by them, but there is a brand of knives called Victorinox. They're the people that make the Swiss Army knife. These little Fibrox handled paring knives are fabulous, and they're like $3 or $4 a piece. They're not expensive at all. They hold a sharp, a sharpening real well. They hold their edge, but they're easy to sharpen. And I'll do a program soon on how to sharpen your knives. There's several different ways of sharpening a knife. And I'm just going to add a little more rice vinegar to this, as much or as little as you like. And stir that all together so that everybody gets down in that vinegar mixture. If you have some sesame seeds, that's good on here too. All right, and this is really good if you make it ahead and let it set up for a day or so. Alrighty, now our brownies are done, and let me show you when you take a toothpick. Now they puff up and they will deflate a little bit. Take a toothpick and insert it in the center, and if it comes out clean, or maybe just a couple of little crumbs on there, then you know it's done. But if it comes out wet, you need to bake it a few more minutes. Now, I used a bigger pan or a smaller pan so the brownies would be thicker, and it took about 35 minutes or so from start to finish at 350 degrees. They need to cool. Then you can frost them if you like frosted brownies, or you could sprinkle over some powdered sugar, whatever you want. But they need to cool for at least an hour before you start cutting into them. I like to just leave them in the pan. Now, our meal is done. And I have to confess, I've been snacking. I absolutely love this. This is egg roll in a bowl. Now, I put it on a plate, but it's egg roll in a bowl. I used ground pork, but again, you could use ground beef, you could use ground chicken, you could use chopped up shrimp, you could use a combination of any of those things. And I browned that and put some garlic and ginger in there, some pepper, no salt. Then I added in a bag of the pre-shredded up coleslaw mix, but if you want to shred your own cabbage, by all means, go ahead. And I added a few extra little carrots in there because I like that flavor. Then we added just a can of bean sprouts. Now, if you can find fresh bean sprouts, you would want, about half a pound or so of fresh bean sprouts. They're delicious. I love them. The only place I've ever been able to find them is in an Asian market, but if you can find the fresh ones, by all means, go ahead. And just stir fry all that together. Add some soy sauce, and then I like to add some toasted sesame oil on top because it's really good, and it's a very potent, wonderful flavor that instantly transforms anything. And toasted sesame oil, by the way, you could put over rice. You can put it over a piece of like a piece of baked chicken or anything like that. Any fish is really good with just a touch of sesame oil on it. Then I made a quick and easy cucumber salad that you could make ahead of time. It's actually better the longer it sits. But I just sliced up a cucumber, and I used orange pepper, but you could use red pepper, yellow peppers. You could add some thinly sliced radishes to this. Really, any combination of crisp, crunchy vegetables. I used rice vinegar. I added a little bit of Splenda to mine. If you don't use Splenda, you could use sugar or whatever sweetener that you like. And again, a little bit of that toasted sesame oil. Stirred that all together. Plated it up, topped it all with a little bit of roasted sesame seeds if you have them. If you don't, it's okay. There you go. A quick and easy meal that honestly, from start to finish, you can have that done in under 30 minutes. Under 30 minutes from beginning to end, provided you've got, you know, all your ingredients together. This takes a little bit longer, but not much. Put this in the oven. While it's baking, finish your meal. There you go, some quick and easy recipes for you to try on Everyday Manna. Let me know what you think, and I will see you next time.
Thank you for watching Everyday Manna with Lisa. This program is made possible by viewers like you. Your support is continually needed to keep Christian programming on the air. Please send your best financial gift to Living Faith Television in care of Everyday Manna, P.O. Box 1867, Abingdon, Virginia, 24212.
There's a place where a total stranger will give their blood to save your life. A place where someone you never knew will save your child from drowning. Where someone will give you food and shelter after a flood. That place is called America, where we look out for each other. When you help the American Red Cross, you help America.